Imagine standing entirely exposed beneath a towering fortress wall as a blinding volley of heavy stones hurtles toward you. To expand their empire, Roman legions routinely had to cross this deadly expanse of open ground to deploy their scaling ladders and battering rams. As they marched forward, defending armies would unleash a relentless gauntlet of iron arrows, heavy rocks, and boiling oil directly onto their heads. Traditional wooden siege towers offered some cover, but they were often far too slow to maneuver and proved highly vulnerable to a relentless barrage of incendiary weapons. The legions needed a completely different type of armor, something highly mobile that could keep human flesh intact through a vertical rain of death. The Romans solved this problem by applying their talent for structural engineering directly to the bodies of the soldiers themselves. As we can see recorded on historical monuments like Trajan's Column, they developed an interlocking grid of shields known as the testudo, the tortoise. In the middle of an assault, a centurion would roar the command testudinum formate, and dozens of armed men would instantly snap their shields into a tightly drilled sequence of highly specific movements. The result was a living, breathing armored vehicle built entirely out of intense human coordination. The primary building block of this human machine was the scudum, a large rectangular shield. Made of laminated wood, covered in leather, and reinforced with an iron edge, it measured roughly a meter tall. This animation demonstrates how the perimeter locked together. The front ranks held their shields tightly edge to edge to create a continuous flat surface, while the men on the flanks angled theirs outward to build the sidewalls. The true innovation happened overhead. Every soldier in the interior rows hoisted their heavy shield into the air, tilting and overlapping them slightly backward like roof tiles. This specific interlocking technique distributed kinetic energy so efficiently that ancient historians claimed enemy fighters could literally walk across the top of the formation without breaking the roof. To achieve this, an 80-man unit, called a century, completely surrendered their ability to see and move freely, merging into a single enclosed metal box. We see exactly how effective this structure was during Julius Caesar's bloody conquest of Gaul around 52 BC. At the bloody Siege of Avaricum, advancing legions faced freezing rain and a massive, continuous barrage of Gallic missiles. The overlapping roof tile design functioned flawlessly, shedding heavy arrows like water and allowing Roman engineers to safely construct their siege ramps beneath the chaos. By synchronizing their movements, these soldiers engineered a mobile shelter that neutralized the enormous tactical advantage of high fortress walls. However, in 53 BC, during the Parthian campaign, the legions discovered a fatal flaw. The testudo sacrificed all offensive capability for pure defense. The men locked inside were practically blind, forced into a slow crawl, unable to swing their swords or throw their heavy javelins. At the Battle of Carrhae, the legions deployed the formation across uneven, sandy desert terrain. The shifting ground broke their tight footing, opening tiny gaps in the armor. The highly mobile Parthian horse archers galloped around these slow-moving squares, firing arrows into the exposed gaps, inflicting one of Rome's most devastating defeats. The tortoise was a highly specialized tool. It acted as an invincible juggernaut on flat ground against a fixed target, but became a vulnerable trap in the chaos of open combat. Fast forward to the 3rd and 4th centuries AD, and the effectiveness of this famous formation began to steeply decline. The primary reason was a shift in military equipment. The Roman army largely abandoned the large rectangular scudum in favor of a smaller, rounded shield known as the clypeus. This diagram compares the two shapes side by side. While rectangles slide flush together to create a solid surface, you cannot overlap circles without leaving massive, diamond-shaped gaps between them. Without the proper geometric hardware of the straight-edged shield, the software of the testudo formation simply broke down. The testudo's true integrity came from agonizing, relentless drilling, which forged a bond far tighter than the wood and iron of the shields themselves. Raw recruits spent months repeating these exact locking sequences on a daily basis, drilling until the complex physical coordination became entirely instinctive, even while under heavy fire. On a one-on-one basis, an individual Roman legionary wasn't necessarily physically stronger or more skilled with a blade than a Gallic warrior or a Parthian archer. But when they locked their shields together, They proved that subordinating individual ego to a synchronized unit can completely overpower superior numbers and overwhelming enemy firepower.